officially. So welcome to today's Alive, and today I'm going to take you through the project I'm working at the moment. And you can see by my hands, these are not artist hands anymore, these are proper working hands. I've been very busy over the last few months putting in cables for the new project, which is hopefully to bring you live buzzards, possibly another tawny owl nest and a little owl nest. So that's hopefully this year, so we're literally working around the clock to achieve this in all weathers. So it's a really exciting project because we just want to bring more species to the live cameras. I've studied a lot of these subjects in hidden valleys, but I have a site where we can beam the images back here and then send them out to you live is the sort of plan. So I'll just do a little introduction to the video. What we're just going to show you is what we filmed last week in the snow, so Will's going to play that, but this is Ashwood where we're working on at the moment. So this is Ashwood in the depths of winter. I've got buzzards, tawny owls, little owls all nesting in this wood, and I'm planning to get cameras on them ready for next breeding season. This is clearly a wildlife track running through the wood, and I wonder who uses it. Clearly badgers, foxes, deer, maybe another wildlife. So this is going to be a great place to put a camera. I just need to find the right place along this track. I think I found the perfect place. This is where the wildlife squeezes under this tree. And what I found here is roe deer fur. And I can tell it's roe deer fur because when you pull it apart, it actually snaps really easily. And this roe deer is actually catching its back every time it passes through here and leaving a little bit of fur. So this is going to be a great place to put a camera. So right up in this larch tree is a buzzard's nest. This buzzard nest has been used for many years, but our biggest challenge is getting the cameras up there. So this is a pond I've built. I just need to fill it with water. And this is going to be a great place for all the wildlife that lives in the wood to come and drink and to bath. And I can't wait to see who's going to be the first visitor. Just up in the ash tree is a nest site I've been working on, where I'm hoping tawny owls will nest in the spring. At this end of the wood is where the little owls hang out, and I'm going to put my nest box up in the trees. Right, so I hope you enjoyed that little video. Will's just put that together this morning for you to see. But that gives you an introduction to Ashwood, so if you've got any questions about that or any of the other wildlife here, sending them through now and I'll answer them in a minute as best as I can. So so we'll have a little look at the little owls. I've been studying little owls down the valley, and these are in a nest that I made, but this is an area where there's no electricity, no reception of any type. No way of beaming back the images, but this lovely little owl, got one actually sat on my camera there. So this is done using a GoPro. So these little owls left the nest site and then they took up residence in a rabbit hole, which is quite common. And then I started putting some giant mealworms in that rabbit hole for them to have a little snack on. But it was almost like a little air raid shelter for them, because if any crows came or any buzzards, they would dash down that hole, all alarm calling. So it was a fabulous little project, and we'll be bringing you a video about the little owls in due course. But that was a super project I worked on last year, and I've got some incredible footage of that. So we're looking forward to trying putting that together with a video, and we'll touch on some of the other subjects I'm hoping to pick up at Ashwood. Maybe the roe deer. We've caught roe deer on camera here, on the cameras round here, but this is, you know, these are roe deer just sort of passing through that we get here. and we had this one in the spring. Probably my favourite deer, the roe deer in this country. We've got roe deer, red deer, which are our true native deers, and then we've got other deer, my two favourite, has to be said. And then we've got other deer like fallow deer, sika deer, muntjac deer, Chinese water deer. There's probably a couple of others. Yes, this is what we're hoping to capture, more of this sort of beautiful footage of roe deer and more of a wild environment. But look at this doe here, she's an absolute stunner. I love painting and drawing roe deer as well. A real sort of favourite of mine. I love the shapes and the lines that they form with all their delicate legs. And they've got to have the prettiest face of all the deer, in my view. And we do get them here in this sort of countryside, but really when they come to our sort of garden and our area, they're usually just passing through. They don't sort of hold territory right here. So obviously out in the wood we're hoping to bring you more sort of deer footage passing through the pathways. Like I showed, we're probably going to put 3 cameras on pathways so we get them passing through the wood as they travel, which will be really exciting. And this is one of the other little characters. Again, we get foxes passing through the garden, and this is a lovely cub that we had earlier this year. But we don't hold those as real true residents in the garden, we just get them passing through again. So maybe we capture more sort of footage of foxes, and at the pond as well we've got a badger drinking. So if Will shows us this wonderful badgers, this is just filmed close to here, just down the valley, and this is one of our badgers that we had that's going for a drink at the water. This is a pond that I've made. We're high up in the Yorkshire Wolds here, so everything's quite dry. There's no little streams and rivers nearby, so whenever you put a pond in, it just, you know, draws wildlife in. So the pond, especially in the summer, up at the wood, will be really sort of rewarding, and I can't wait to see who comes first. I haven't quite filled it up yet because we're busy with the nest boxes, but these are our tawny owls at home here, and there is another pair of tawny owls in there, and their nest site isn't brilliant, so I'm hoping that my Desirez version of a tawny owl nest box, which is drier and warmer, will be more suitable for them. So I'm hoping they switch by the spring, but they can nest here as early as February, and in other countries, they can, other counties in England, they can actually be laying in early as January sometimes. So yeah, and again the pond, we're hoping the pond will draw in owls. We've had some lovely views on the live cameras of owls bathing recently, and this is one of our guys who had barn owls and tawny owls in the last few days, both bathing in this pond that we've got on camera now. So wherever I do a wildlife project, I think water's really important, and especially when you live in a quite dry environment on the Yorkshire Wolds here. We're far from springs and little streams or even ponds, so I've put in eight or nine little ponds, and they're all, you know, really attractive to all the wildlife around here. What are you going to show us next, Will? Oh, the buzzard, yeah. So the buzzard, I've studied buzzard nests quite often. This is the pair of buzzards that holds territory here, and then just further afield there's another pair of buzzards, and I've been watching this sort of nest on and off for a few years. But buzzards can have a few different nest sites, so you know, I'm hoping I'm picking the favourite nest site, because they can quite simply build a new nest each year and nest there. But they do sometimes have traditional nests. I've filmed them at a nest. When I was 18 was the first time back in South Wales when I was at college, and you know, I used to just free climb right up to the top of a 65-foot sycamore tree and sit in a little hide there that I built and watch these super animals. And they brought everything in from rabbits, even toads, grass snakes, young crows. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what the buzzards are catching around here. and see how they get on, and hopefully we bring you that live buzzard nest. That's our plan. But it's a difficult thing to do because they have all this countryside to go out and they have several nest sites that they alternate in between. So I'm just picking the one I think they're going to nest in.
So we have a few questions coming in. The first one is, how do you know that that's a buzzard nest up in Ashwood?
It's massive. So we're looking at a nest that's can't even fit me in camera. We're looking at a nest that's about 3 or 4 feet wide, circular, and I've seen round the bottom the clues in the poo. They're actually using that nest literally at the moment, just like our owls are checking out nest sites. The buzzards are also checking out nest sites, and my friend climbed up there a few weeks ago, and there was remains of prey and pellets and feathers. So that nest was used this last year. So we're hoping they're going to use it again next year. But as I said, they have a few different nests, and sometimes they'll even just pick a crow's nest and then nest on top of the crow's nest. But buzzards' nests in general, you're looking at a structure that's at least 3 feet wide in the round. A crow's nest, you're looking at something this sort of size. What's that? Less than 2 feet in the round, and it's just a typical nest really that it's in. It's got easy access in to the top of that larch tree where it splays. But yeah, there's no doubt that's a buzzard's nest. There's a chance, if the buzzards don't nest there, that a red kite can come in and take that nest as well. And there's also a slight chance that a crow might take his chance and nest on it, but I think that's unlikely. Yeah, but it's the sheer size of it basically, and they're often quite tight into the trunk or on top of a conifer like that plateaus.
The next question is the wildlife track. How do you know that wildlife are using it?
The wildlife track wouldn't be there if the wildlife wasn't using it. It would just simply grow over. So it's very, very clear. There's badger sets nearby, and it's definitely 100% a badger track. And then we've got the deer fur, so the deer are using it. I've in places opened it up a little bit to make the access easier for the wildlife through some brambles, just to make sure we've got a good corridor there for the wildlife. But there's no doubt wildlife's using that. It's not a massive wood, it's long and thin. I've seen the roe deer in there, I've seen a fox in there last year, hares in there, pheasants and all the other wildlife. So there's no doubt in my mind that that's a good track. And we've seen the badger dung piles, so they scratch a little hole in the ground and use it as a territorial marking. So that's the thing I love doing, is actually being out there and just looking. And whether I'm looking for kingfishers near a river and I can just see the green little lichen's just been worn away on a branch, or there's some tiny fish scales on a branch where they've been killing fish, or whether it's finding the roe deer fur where they've caught the back as they've gone under a branch. But badgers 100% are using it because this fresh territorial dung sort of marking. So they'll scratch a little hole, poo in it, and then they just say, this is my territory, these are my boundaries, to let other badgers not to come in.
How did you come up with the name Ashwood?
It is an ashwood, simple as that. So in the UK here we've got ash dieback, which is going to be fairly catastrophic potentially over the next few decades. A third of our trees in the UK are ash, and especially in upland areas like this, nearly all our trees, most of our trees here are ash. So we have beech, sycamore, and the main tree that we have here is ash. So oak trees don't grow on the Yorkshire wolds, it's chalk, it's alkaline. As I look out my window, 80% of the trees I can see are probably ash trees. So we do have this fungal ash dieback disease. So I want to record this before we start losing more trees, and it's evident out there, especially after this year we had a very, very dry spring, which just has accelerated the pressure that was on some of these trees. And just one line of trees in the village has been chopped down because of ash dieback, and I've seen kestrels, little owls, tawny owls, barn owls all nesting in that. There were 7 trees that were cut down, and I've seen them all nest in those trees there. So yeah, so ash dieback is a serious sort of threat to our wildlife here.
Magdalena asks, how big is Ashwood?
Well, my cable runs about 1,000 metres long, and that doesn't cover the whole of the Ashwood, so it's maybe it's maybe another 500 metres long. So yeah, it's long, big, but not wide.
So Sidrini asks, could Luna and Bomber switch nests, or will they nest in beach in spring?
Yeah, I mean, they do have other sites within this valley. They won't go over there, it's too far away. This is some distance away from where we are. So they will stay here. Where the nest is literally up for grabs still, who knows. About 50% of the time I get them nesting here, and usually in beach stump, but last year they nested on top of a squirrel dray in a really old little wooden box that I had in a tree. Yeah, just got to cross our fingers.
What food do you use to attract buzzards?
So buzzards, just got 3 rats for them today actually. So rats, grey squirrels, rabbits, and anything they pick off the road, basically like pheasants, any roadkill, so they'll eat most things. So yeah, a lot of rats though. So we get all the rats around the property in the garden because they do have a bad effect on wildlife. So predominantly rats and grey squirrels. Grey squirrels here are an invasive species. So so we're not sorry to anyone out there that's a grey squirrel fan, but we're not grey squirrel fans here.
Just a couple more questions before we finish. Where do Hans and Greet sleep now that Elm Stump is taken?
We saw, I can't remember if it was Hans or Greek, flying in from quite a long way away at dusk one night, and that was from a clump of hawthorn trees, so way beyond our boundaries and limitations of cameras. So he was just flying in dusk in a straight line, and then when he landed, we could see who it was. So I think that was Hans, wasn't it?
Greet, I think it was.
Greet, was it? Yeah. So I saw 2 barn owls, the new courting couple, in the woods, sat very close together in a yew tree, and that was literally at eye level the other day. And then yesterday I saw another barn owl in one of our little shrubs in the wood as well. So they often sit in these shrubs, hedges, so they don't necessarily need to be in a nest box or enclosed in any way. So there is another site that I have further away where just old buildings that they can be roosting in. But barn owls don't think of anything of flying, like quarter of a mile, half a mile, to come here on the evening. You see them coming in from the distance. So without checking every single tree around here, it's very difficult to say exactly.
So this leads well to our next lockdown live actually. A few people asking to see the painting behind you.
Yeah, we can do that easily. Yes, this is three stoke kits. Having a little squabble. So this is an acrylic painting. Will's pointing one way, and
there you go.
Yeah, that's it. There we go. So when you're looking on camera, it's hard to know which way to go. So yes, I'm going to talk to you about some of the paintings on Thursday. So we've got any more questions?
I think that's it for today. So everyone tune in on Thursday.
So tune in on Thursday, and you can see I've been outside today. It's been it's really cold out there, and I've come inside and I'm literally really hot now because I've been used to being outside. But thanks everyone for joining us. And